Hey guys, welcome to the Bad Moms review. This has been a long time coming, and I know everyone's really excited to really get after it with me here today on this movie. Everyone has shown a lot of enthusiasm towards it, enough to the point where I've actually gotten removed from the Saki Boys group, which is pretty hurtful. I will say, I know that I haven't done my part in making this video in a timely fashion. I was originally going to do a podcast for you guys. It fell through. The guy I was going to do it with decided to cancel on me late last night, and I guess he was sick or something. And I'm not really sure if I buy it, but he got sick and canceled the studio hours, so I figured I would just record a YouTube video today just to get it done and get it submitted. I don't know if this is going to be funny or stupid or anything. I haven't rehearsed anything. I haven't really put much thought into the video. I was going to just wing it as well as just kind of wing the podcast. So just talk about it. But I was also planning on being pretty hammered and smoking a little, but that's not going to happen. So this is just kind of as good as it's going to get. With that being said, let's get into it a little bit here. All right. So let's get right down to it. Characters. Amy is the main character, and I think that Mila Kunis is obviously an amazing actress. She's respected in Hollywood amongst her peers. I think there's really no doubt about that. She's always beautiful. She's got this very innocent, ethnically ambiguous look to her, earthy toned skin. Beautiful, beautiful actress. And I think she works really well in this role. The reason I say that is she plays the mom that's always late, never on time, struggling to keep up with a family that would be pretty much lost without her. There would be really no driving behind that family, no drive behind that family without her. And she does it pretty much single-handedly. No help from her less than stellar husband, to put it nicely, Mike, complete asshole. He basically starts off the movie just terribly. His lines they feel robotic. He's not a very talented actor. I forget what his name is, his offstage name. He's just garbage in every movie that I've ever seen him in. So he works well with the role too, although his lines are pretty poor. But Mila Kunis, she's absolutely terrific in the movie and in her role. Start off the movie, she's all over the place. She works at this hip coffee company with the guy from Hot Tub Time Machine, the son, one of my favorite non-famous actors. I know him as Jonah from Hot Tub Time Machine. Incredible guy. Funny, talented, very, very effortless jokes from him. He's got this effortless wit that just makes him likable, relatable, and charming to the audience. I think it's really great that they kind of slid him in there as her boss. To kind of give it a little bit more of a comfort feel in those tough moments at work where she's struggling, he's not underpaying her, underappreciating her. It's great to see that he is in that role, and Mila Kunis really seems to have a great rapport with him, great chemistry with him. Her assistant, not so much. That chick was crazy. She was like on pills and hungover at work. I would have fired her. She was seem like someone that wanted to just kind of have sex with the boss. I think that's inappropriate. Kind of church and state there. Can't be fooling around. Can't shit where you eat. Sort of scenario. Speaking of moms. Yeah. So, oh my God, I almost forgot. I'm forgetting one thing. Got my candle. Oh, one more thing. Got your shirt on. Got my candle. Got your favorite glasses. I think we're ready for some Bad Moms review now. Sorry, guys. Okay. Anyways, back to Amy. Amy is Mila Kunis, beautiful, awesome, done. Let's go down the line. She's got 2 kids. She's got Dylan, who in my mind is he's one of those characters where he's been in a couple other movies I've seen. I don't really remember what they were, but he's been in a couple other movies that I've watched, and he plays the exact same character. So he's kind of in that young Hollywood star role of just stick him in a role where there's a kid, he's a familiar face, and then we'll roll with it. Daughter, never seen her before, kind of a nerd. Jane, super up Amy's ass, Mila Kunis' ass the whole movie. She's controlling, she's manipulative. Mom is never good enough, even though she's by far good enough. Kind of kid. The kids play on a really interesting theme in the movie. They're very spoiled, and I think Amy in one scene actually tells both the kids that she actually tells Dylan how entitled he is, and he's entitled because of the way that she spoiled him, and it's kind of one of those aha moments where it's like all this time Amy's been really smothering of her children and making them lunches and rushing them around town when she has things she needs to do. She has no time for hobbies, no time for friends. And, her husband, Mike, which fuck that guy, is just really absent and just kind of an airhead the entire relationship, it seems, and always has been. And her kids just don't really back her. They just kind of take what, at the beginning of the movie, Mila Kunis, Amy decides she does all their kids' homework, which I don't know if anyone here has ever, any viewers, any watchers, any followers have ever had their parents do their homework for them, which I hope the answer is no, because that's a nightmare. That, Dylan shows no appreciation. She makes this massive gesture and makes a Richard Nixon doll for his history project. He just takes it. I think he's on his phone when he takes it from her. Totally ungrateful, totally disrespectful. Yet he decides to get mad at Mila Kunis, get mad at Amy later in the film because she decides she's going to have a little bit of fun. So, but back to the story, back to the characters. We got Amy. I would love to see some comments below the video about what everyone thought of Amy's character, what they thought about her performance, what they thought about Mila Kunis and the way that she carried that role. She kind of speaks to a lot of moms out there, I would hope, about the importance of being a bad mom. Sometimes you're going to mess up, you're going to make mistakes, and Mila Kunis kind of makes that relatable, that not all moms are perfect, and kind of gives a little nudge at dads out there that, we need to appreciate our women in our lives and the moms in our lives and their ability to kind of hold the family together and do kind of the dirty work, get their hands dirty for the family. And Mila Kunis really, really represents that nicely. Moving right along, let's get into Kiki a little bit. I think Kiki is a really, really good character for a lot of moms out there that are being controlled by their man and that are really being taken for granted with how much work they do, especially those stay-at-home moms. I salute you, stay-at-home moms, for really just taking time out of each day, most of your time out of each day, to devote entirely to your family, entirely to your kids, while dad goes out and perhaps he's the breadwinner. And I think that I think that the Kikis out there are really the emotional breadwinners. They're the loving breadwinners of the family. They bring in that love and that emotion and that passion that goes into that parent-child relationship. And I think it's really important. I think it's totally taken for granted by not only kids everywhere, but most importantly, dads. I think Bad Moms does a great job of targeting those dads out there, saying, hey, look, this isn't easy. I'm doing a lot of things you wouldn't even be able to think about doing. And we'll get into that a little bit later when her and her husband kind of go at it a little bit over the phone, when Kiki finally decides, hey, I'm done pampering everyone at all times in this family. I'm going to go out every once in a while and have some time with my friends. And when I do, Dad, you can stay home and take care of the kids and get the job done. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Yours truly, Kiki. Get fucked. She one of her more famous roles was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, one of my all-time favorite movies. It's kind of funny that her and Mila Kunis are back at it this time, in the limelight of a year that I would really say was filled with women in Hollywood movies. Over the last 5 years, especially, we had The Bridesmaids, Bad Moms, Bad Teacher, Ghostbusters, which don't even get me started on Ghostbusters. What an incredible movie that was. Just absolutely phenomenal acting, jokes. It's just brilliant, pure brilliance on that end. But Kiki, back to Kiki, she's one of those. She's innocent. Her life is entirely dictated by her children. She has 4 of them, which is a lot. So I salute the Kikis everywhere, and I admire the patience, the resilience, the love, the support, and kind of that go-getter attitude where even though most of the days are the same and they can be a little bit mundane, you hold down the fort and you're the emotional breadwinner. I'm going to use that, the emotional breadwinner of the family. And I think that's really, again, I think that's something that's really taken for granted. Moms are taken for granted, and this movie really kind of opens your eyes to see how difficult it is to be a mom, and the importance of letting go sometimes and realizing that you don't have to be perfect. And I think that's really important. I think we can all take something away from that. Let's talk a little bit about, I want to talk about Carla. I think Carla is the most unrelatable mom in the movie. Not in a bad way, kind of in a sexy way. Definitely in a sexy way. Carla is the most unrelatable mom, and I think that's what gives the movie, her character is what gives the movie its kind of pizzazz. It gives it the wazah that it needs to be more of a movie and a funny tale about these moms. She kind of brings the fun, the excitement, the energy into Amy, into Kiki, and gets those girls rallied to kind of enjoy themselves and kind of think outside the box in a lot of different ways. And I think that's super important. I think that's an important trait to have in a movie. You have to have that character with the archetypes of being more outlandish and, she's not, confounded to the ins and outs of motherhood. She's kind of rogue. She's already rogue. She's already kind of dipped her pen in the ink of what it means to be a kind of rambunctious mom. And I think that Amy and Kiki really find energy in that. They find some revitalization in that. And I think it's a really cool thing to see as their characters develop throughout the movie. So Carla, she's got an older son. We don't really see much screen time of him. That there's a little family dinner at the end there in the last 20 minutes, and I think that's where we really get a glimpse of her son. kind of a ditz, kind of a dull guy, unhealthy guy as a result of her parenting. And I think that her general, demeanor and her, kind of slutty, hot, don't give a fuck attitude really adds a lot to the flavor of the friend group and to the movie. And I think it's an important character to have to kind of stir up things throughout the film. And I really appreciate her humor and her kind of, not going to be that normal mom at school. The one unrelatable character makes it fun, kind of thing. And I think moms everywhere kind of appreciated that when the movie would get real and you'd find yourself, wow, like Amy really has this trait that I have. I'm never on time. Or Kiki, wow, she needs to kind of open up and spend more time without her family and rely on her husband a little more. You get that dosage right as you start to feel like you're relating too much to a character. There comes Carla with the sucker punch and wants to fuck your husband. And it's like, well, that's totally not going to happen in the realm of my day-to-day life. And that's where the laughter comes from. That's where that's driven from. Let's turn the table a little bit to the bad girls. The bad girls. The Gwen, the Stacy, the Vicky. Those girls are very, very, very different from the characters that we're seeing with Carla, Amy, and Kiki. Just they're the moms that are more. They're the moms that a lot of moms can relate to them in the sense of they know who the other moms are that are like them. You go to your parent teacher conferences. You get called in to the principal's office because your son depantsed one of his classmates in the locker room, and he started a fight. And they're the moms that are, they're the moms of the son that got the pants who come in and they want you to do time in juvie for the offense. Whereas, all that really needs to be resolved is their kids. And I think that's where I really like that touch with Amy, where she's kind of just she's more of the mom that comes in and is like, let's work on that. They're just kids. Let's not take things so seriously. And then you have Gwendolyn, who's just, all about structure and control and micromanaging the school and the kids. And I think that we all know that kind of mom out there, friends of our friends' moms that are like that just need to micromanage and control. And Gwendolyn is absolutely that mom. And with every micromanager of that stature comes cronies that follow. We have Stacy and we have Vicky, and they're absolutely on her coattail. And I think Stacy is kind of one of those ride or dies. She's the Robin to Gwendolyn's Batman, whereas we see Vicky kind of she's more a little bit doesn't really know why she's there, struggling to kind of find out what kind of mom she is at this school. And I think that character is one of the most underrated, relatable moms in the whole movie, just by the fact that she's torn between structure and being normal. She's tied between the driven, micromanaging mom and the relaxed, it's okay if I don't know entirely what I'm doing kind of mom that is the friend groups of Kiki, Amy, and Carla. And I think that it's some really special moments happen in the movie. Some real light moments happen in the movie when Vicky is. You see her juggling this mental burden of which friend group do I belong in. In particular, when they're Gwendolyn and Amy are running against each other for the PSA board position, for a president position. You see, Gwendolyn's throwing this extravagant party with Martha Stewart. It's very structured. There's assigned seatings. There's no alcohol, no unhealthy foods. It's just to talk about what we're doing with our kids' futures. Micromanage, dictate, authoritarian. And we shuffle over to Amy and her party. It's cheap champagne, pizza. Let's get drunk and just have fun and have a night out with the moms, and less is more kind of thing. And I think that we see Vicky's character really sway back and forth there to what's best for her. And I think that's a really funny moment. It's a fun moment when all the ladies are just totally bored of Gwendolyn's party and they're thinking, we need something new. We need to, everyone's getting text messages. Ooh, Amy's party looks so great. Let's go to Amy's party. and they all leave her party early, and you see Vicky just like, I'm gonna go to Amy's party. It's we might as well go, and then they go over there to check it out, and it looks like a complete, it looks like a sorority fraternity function, date dash, after party extravaganza, and we see that moment where Vicky, just kind of lets go of Stacy and Gwendolyn's hold on her and just says, I'm gonna go have fun. I'm a mom. I'm not perfect. And I think that was a really great thing to see, kind of a mini victory, one of the movie's underrated mini victories when Vicky kind of lets loose a little bit and has some fun. And then we see that again later on in the movie when Amy finally has her speech at the end, where she kind of just gives her 2 cents on what it means to be a mom. And I think it's a destabilizing scene where we're drawn back into relating to the characters, and I think it's amazing. I think it's a beautiful speech, and one of my favorite moments of that speech is when the camera pans to Vicky, and she's clapping, and she's visibly happy about what's going on, and we see Stacy smack her, and what are you thinking? And that relief when Vicky decides to respond in a way that's, I'm happy supporting Amy. I'm happy to be a part of this school and a part of this new future that Amy's going to drive about. It's okay to be imperfect. I think that's a really powerful scene, and I really appreciate those moments in this movie and other movies of this genre, where women feel it's okay to kind of let go and go with their gut and go with what they truly feel. I think that's really important. So one other character I kind of want to talk about. We don't really get to know. Well, I want to talk about Gwen a little. Let's talk about Gwen a little bit more. Gwen is just to rehash and move forward with Gwen and kind of sign, seal, and deliver that one. Gwen thinks she has it all together. Come to find out, she does not. Saw that from 1,000 miles away. She puts on this very cold, like I said, knows exactly what she's doing, is the perfect mom. Her kids are perfect, front, when in reality everything's falling apart. And it was really nice to kind of see that those characters have kind of a nice firm resolution at the end when she touches base with Amy after the speech, and they kind of relate to one another, and she kind of breaks down. And I think Amy gives that very inviting. Mila Kunis in general gives that very inviting. You can talk to me. I'm not someone you want to be your enemy, not because I'll destroy you, but because why would you want to be enemies with me? I'm kind of here for everybody. It's kind of a free love sort of situation with her. And I think that really shines through her character at the end when Gwendolyn decides to reveal to her that things aren't all well at home, and she kind of needs to let down her guard and be a mom. It's not easy to be a mom. You can't be perfect as a mom. And that's really cool that her character finally gets broken down and becomes real and becomes relatable. And I think that was a really pivotal moment in the film. Stacy, we don't get to know much about her at all. Jada Pinkett Smith's character is the one scene that we really get to know her is when she is discussing having anal intercourse with Jesse, who comes to fill Amy's void. That of which Mike sizably impacts when he decides to have a webcam relationship with a woman from 2,000 miles away. Very weird scene. A lot of very weird scenes like that, where Stacy just kind of enters the scene and it's like, I would have him put it in my butt. And we all know that it's kind of the opposite. The audience is probably thinking about, just what that would look like the second she says it. And I think that's awesome, to say the least. But that's really all we get from her, is her trying to. She uses most of her energy to drive Gwendolyn's progress and pull Vicky away from Amy, Kiki, and Carla's lifestyle that they come to find after Amy kind of self implodes, given Mike's decision to have an affair, and her kids being unappreciative of her efforts to, fulfill their extracurricular commitments and, their day-to-day academics and nutrition. So the last character I did want to touch base on a little bit, though, before we kind of talk about just the general story here of the movie and just kind of the narrative and the plot and kind of the direction it takes and its most pivotal moments, is Jesse. I think Jesse, the widower, that all the moms seem to have a nice soiled pair of panties for. I think that he's an important character for three reasons. He is he's he basically fills the void that Mike leaves when he has his affair for Amy, which I think is an important void for her. She needs that. He's kind of a driving force, at least in the beginning when she's, at the bar and she's failing to, put her momness on the side and kind of just be a single, beautiful woman, in a great city, which I think the Chicago undertones are visible, and I think they're maximized for what the movie needs, and I really appreciated that, having visited there a couple times last year. But being in a great city and being that there's a lot of attractive individuals of that age, Jesse adds that kind of, there are those 95 to 100%ers there that are in your boat. They have some level that they can relate to with you, and they can make you feel safe because they know you feel unsafe. Basically, Amy feels, she's out of her comfort zone, and Jesse knows that. He sees that once he sees her at the bar. He sees how, vulnerable she is, but doesn't choose to pounce on her and kind of berate her. He does it in a very suave and Jesse-like way that character usually represents, to make her feel comfortable and beautiful and appreciated like she hasn't felt obviously in years. She kind of goes off about that he recognizes all the effort that she does being a great mom, and it's really cool to see her reaction. She sells her reaction very well. That does mean a lot to her, because she hasn't been getting that kind of attention from Mike. She hasn't been getting that kind of attention from anyone. No one thinks that her efforts are going unnoticed at work, at home, at school. And for Jesse to kind of be this very attractive male outside looking in and recognizing her for that, I think it's really important. We all kind of need that one. We all kind of need that person in our lives that's gonna see the kind of dirty work that we're doing in the background and recognizes it. And Jesse really brings that home. And in the bedroom, they had when they have sex. I think that's a really awesome moment. I didn't really like the entrance there. I was kind of expecting something a little bit more romantic and a little bit more, I don't know, important. I saw more for their relationship than the movie really gave to, and I think that was kind of one of the few weak moments of the film. Is I would have liked to see Jesse, and I would have really liked to see Jesse and Amy, get after it a little bit and try to make that work. And I think Jane makes it really clear that she doesn't. And I think that's why they kind of drove away from it a little bit, when Jane is, kind of gives Amy a heads up and just kind of bops her on the head and says, "Mom, you're selfish. You had sex with another one of my classmates' dads. It's disgusting. And I'm staying with Dad. I'm going to Mike. I'm going over to the guy that uprooted our family." And I think that was kind of an aha moment for Amy, where it's like, now I need to find a middle ground. And that's where we see her at the end of the movie, is just kind of saying, I'm not perfect, and I'm going to try to be better about certain things. And I think that's a really important moment. And I think Jesse gives way to that. Jesse's kind of the threshold of her not caring and not considering other people and considering herself for once, which I think is super important. You see that with Kiki too. Like I was saying earlier, when she gets the phone call from her husband and he is absolutely livid that she's not home, and he demands that she goes home. And earlier in the movie, he makes that call, and she abides, she obeys him, she goes. And it's beautiful to see that, her, through her friendship with Carla and Amy, Kiki decides, you know what? No, I'm going to do what's right for me. There's a time and a place. There's a middle ground. I don't have to be on call at all times. I can go out. I can enjoy moments with my friends. And again, I think that's super important. And I think Jesse gets Amy to that point where she starts to find that middle ground. The party and the sex that ensues afterwards is a really huge moment for Amy and her character development. And Jesse's a huge reason that kind of brought it home for me. So with all that being said, I think we've covered the characters, and I think that everyone has kind of a good idea of who who I'm talking about, and I would really like to see in the comments what people think about those characters and kind of my analysis of them and kind of their roles in the movie, kind of how the two friend groups kind of play off each other um, to give progress to the narrative, as well as the role players, the subtle role players like Vicky and Jesse that really kind of drive home some key themes for me, and helping the main characters reach their potential and possibly their more pervasive state, moving into the future. I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool how the movie does that. General narrative points and kind of things that I wanted to touch base on. One, the relatability of the characters, I think, is huge. I think being able to see the different types of moms, at the school, in the friend groups, outside of school, and the way that they act is really cool for moms everywhere. I think to just be able to say, hey, I know what it's like to do that. I know what it's like to slave away at lunches every day and not get appreciated. And but I do it anyways because I love my kids, and I love watching them grow. And I think that's a really cool theme, is just the relatability of the characters. On the flip side, and like I was talking about earlier with Carla, she kind of makes the movie more light and fun. One of my favorite scenes with that is, and it's slightly inappropriate, but the movie is rated R for a reason, is when the three ladies are getting ready to go out, and Carla is basically giving a very graphic and explicit rendition of an encounter she had with an uncircumcised penis. And I think that's a really good scene because it makes the movie feel light. It makes the characters kind of let loose a little bit, and I can tell that was probably a little bit of an improvised a bit there, as opposed to a scripted role where she comes in and is explaining how the foreskin of the penis is a male clitoris, and it's just it's very funny. I laughed excessively, and Kiki with her innocence drives it home at the end, saying well, I'm never wearing this jacket again. And I think that really for moms is really a funny thing. And I think for people everywhere that have experienced an uncircumcised penis, I think it is a very new it is a very different experience, than a penis that has been circumcised. I think it's kind of I don't really know a good way to put it. It's when you first see an uncircumcised penis, it doesn't even feel real. It doesn't look real. And Carla does a really good job of kind of bringing that, dumbing that down a little bit for us to say, hey, it's not that bad. There are ways to still work with these kinds of penises and have fun with them. Suck it and sit on it, I think, is what she says at one point. And at the end of the day, that's what the penis is there for. And I think Carla really makes that relatable to women, that, at the end of the day, that's what's truly important, not the type of penis. It's and I think there's a lot of cultural undertones to that too. We're all humans, no matter what kind of penises we have and what skin is on them and not on them. So that's a really funny scene. I think another really great scene is the party. Obviously, I think the Martha Stewart, when Martha Stewart enters into the movie, I think it makes it really, kind of those celebrity appearances. You have the J.J. Watt as the middle school soccer coach. Not a stellar performance out of J.J. Watt. I kind of expected more of him. I had more of a train wreck LeBron James kind of hope for him, that he was going to kind of come out and be really more vocal, have a couple more liners. I thought that his inability to act was going to be a little bit funnier and play into his character's favor, and he didn't really drive it home for me. And I think that's because J.J. Watt is, not particularly funny. Please disagree with me in the comments if you like, and give your thoughts on his character. I just wasn't really feeling it. I didn't really think he drove home what he needed to with that character at all, like the LeBron did in Trainwreck. I think LeBron was one of my favorite parts of Trainwreck, to be completely honest. And that's another really good female, more feministic movie of the last year that I think a lot of people really appreciated for different reasons, but really appreciated. But Martha Stewart, that celebrity appearance makes the movie again, as the movie pulls you in to feel relatable, and you start to really get attached to the characters and their personalities and how you can relate to those personalities. those celebrity appearances kind of bring it back and say, this is just a movie. I don't need to take this too much to heart into my own life. I just need to appreciate the movie and kind of the undertones and the humor that it has, and leave the rest at the door. So that's the party scene is great. There's a couple of those scenes in the supermarket and the party at Amy's house where you see the moms really just kind of let go, and they let go in a way that isn't really relatable to other moms in terms of their behavior and what they decide to do. And I think that's cool. I think it gives the movie more excitement, and that unrealistic feel makes the movie entertaining. And the movie has a really nice balance. Like I've said a lot, the movie has a really nice balance of what is fiction and what you can really tie into your real life. And the supermarket and the party are great examples of that. And the speech that Amy gives close after both of those events, the speeches that she gives are really what bring it back and kind of find that nice middle ground, which is what the characters in the end find, is a middle ground. And I think that's what the whole movie is really driving about mom and motherhood, is that, there's 1 in 10 in terms of how on it and committed and motherly you can be. And you have to find that middle ground. You have to find that 5 where you can still pack a lunch in the morning, but you still can have wine with the ladies on Thursday night and play mahjong on Mondays. I think that's really important. I want to talk, before I wrap this up, and I appreciate everyone taking the time to listen to this and really kind of getting into this with me. And I would love to discuss this further with all you guys and all my followers and viewers out there about. I would love to kind of delve into this a little bit more and talk about these characters and these themes. And I'd also like to hear, I want to cap this off with addressing Amy's speech at the end, and then also the conversation that I had with my mom after I watched the movie, because I felt the need to really talk to her about it and kind of get her take on motherhood and raising me and my brother and being a mom and still being a mom. It's kind of one of those forever, everlasting jobs that you kind of sign up for all in one moment. But the speech that Amy gives at the end of the movie is really, really, really is great. It's well written. Mila Kunis delivers it, excellent, in an excellent way, and it really brings the whole moms coming together and being more accepting of each other theme home. That moms are, in this day and age, I think it's inarguable that it's one of the most difficult times to raise a child, given the way that culture has been driven by the internet and by technology and kind of all the different ways information is accessible to kids. I think it makes it very difficult as a mom to instill values in children that make them a little bit more humble in their upbringings. I think that the scene where Mila Kunis really gets after Dylan a little bit and calls him entitled and that he's spoiled and he needs to learn how to work and do his own work and, kind of be more of a man, an independent man, a young man, which he will be, in the next few years. That's a really powerful scene, because I feel like a lot of our youth are very entitled, and they do believe that because they have an iPad, they can treat their parents poorly. And that's just not the case. And I think Amy really, I hope some moms out there have shown that, watch this movie with their children, and the children get to see that positive influence of Amy's character on Dylan, that might hit home in some households, especially in America. We need it right now. We need that entitlement to shrink within our youth and with our kids. And moms, you guys are the people out there, the women out there that can really do that, that can rid that mentality from our kids. And it starts with accountability. It starts with motivation and drive and kind of this pride to be great and not be pampered by, those that can may or may not help you with things like, his homework. Dylan needs to be able to do his homework. Every kid needs to be able to do their homework. Their parents shouldn't be doing their homework. And Amy really sells that. And I hope kids were watching that and they felt, like, wow, my mom doesn't need to keep doing my homework. I need to be able to complete my long division worksheets by myself. And I need to be able to do this book report without mom reading it to me, or without mom, telling me what it's already about because she's read it in book club. So really, really good scene. The last scene, obviously, absolutely phenomenal when she's talking about, less is more. I want everyone here to just have fun and know that it's okay to be a bad mom. It's okay to be a bad mom. And I think we see this tension in this community in Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago. We see this tension of these women in this community in the PSA board, that there's all this, Gwendolyn has basically created this room of just all these women that are about to boil over with stress and feeling inadequate. And Amy steps in and says, it's okay. It's okay to be inadequate. It's okay to mess up sometimes. It's okay to be a bad mom. And when you see the women start to rise from their chairs, spouting out these ludicrous, things that are going wrong or going right in their lives, it's just a nice release to know, again, to all the moms out there, that nobody's perfect. Everybody's got problems at home. Everyone's got kids that do weird things. And I think that's such a great moment. It's a beautiful moment to see so many women feeling empowered to express their inadequacies and recognize them and put them on the tables. And I think that's excellent. The last thing I want to kind of talk about here, and then we'll wrap this up, is the closing credits. I think it's remarkable at the end there, when we get to peek into these Hollywood actresses' lives, and we get to speak to their moms a little bit and kind of share some stories. And I did something similar with my mom afterwards, and I would encourage all my viewers to kind of take the time to do that as well, and call your mom and ask her some questions. Kind of conduct some at-home research, to see what it's like, peer in the eyes of your mom, and see, especially as a young male, what it was like to be a mom, what it's like to have that relationship with a child of that age. Talk about what it was like when you were Dylan, when you were Jane. How did you, what was it like for them to kind of deal with you when you wouldn't do your homework, or you got mad at them and blamed them for all the issues in your life? That I think is just that's a super important thing to have and to talk about and to get on the table with your mom. I know I learned a lot about my mom, just about me and the way that I was when I was a kid, and the issues that I brought to her, and the way that she chose to handle them. And my mom was certainly, she was an Amy. She's one of those, always running around. She always was taking, shuffling my brother and I around to practices. And I think it was really cool to see, kind of, I could almost relate to Amy for my mom, although my mom hasn't seen the movie, and I'm really encouraging her to take the time to watch it now that I've really kind of delved into it, that she can see that she's not alone. I think sometimes it's good, even our moms, they need to know that they're not alone. They need to know that, they're not the only mom out there that's having issues with their kid. And I think the movie does a really good job of really driving home its title, that it's okay to be a bad mom. So, with that being said, I'm gonna clock in. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I hope everyone enjoyed my analysis of some of the characters and major themes. And if anyone has any questions, please comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. I want this to kind of spill over into our lives. I want us to talk about this with our moms. I want our moms to know that we're talking about it, that this is something we're thinking about, that these movies are showing us things about motherhood and about family dynamics that we don't really, in the busyness of life, think about more. And I think that this is a really good opportunity for us to, to jump into those conversations. Call your mom, ask her about, a tough moment, just a story. My mom loves telling stories. I'm sure your guys' moms do too out there. Ask about a story. When was a time where, I blamed you for something because you were trying to do the right thing? Like Jane, Amy's trying to do the right thing for her at soccer, and she ends up screwing up, and Jane gets benched because Gwendolyn goes behind their back and plants weed in the locker, which, again, crazy. But we all know those moms out there that would do that for their kid, and that would do that to spite someone. And Jane was hurt by something that between a feud between Gwendolyn and Amy. And I asked my mom, was there a time where I suffered because of you and another mom having, dissimilarities in the way that you think about motherhood. And she has a story, and I think those are stories that need to be talked about. They need to be brought to light. We need to be talking about these things because, believe it or not, one day we're going to be in a family, and we don't want to be like Mike. We don't want to be, the guys that take for granted our women and the moms out there. And I think the only way that we can understand what it's like to be a mom and what it's like to be a bad mom and not an imperfect mom, we have to hear stories. We have to change our perspectives, and we have to grow our perspectives about motherhood. And I think Bad Moms really brings that to light. And it's exciting. It's exciting to move forward. It's exciting knowing that Hollywood is going in a direction where women are on the screen more, women are appreciated more, and they're relatable, and they're bringing up real world conversations in a day and an age where being a mom is, I think, inarguably the most difficult it's ever been. So with that being said, Lenny Kravitz, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for watching.